Hello and welcome to all. Today our first question is, consider the following statements. Number 1, right to city is an agreed human right and the UN Habitat monitors the commitments made by each country in this regard. Number 2, right to the city gives every occupant of the city the right to reclaim public spaces and public participation in the city. Number 3, right to the city means the state cannot deny any public service or facility to the unauthorized colonies in the city. Our options are only 1, only 3, 1 and 2, 2 and 3. At this point, you are supposed to pause the video, think your answer, recall your concept, read the question again, mark your answer somewhere, and then move towards answer and analysis part. It was asked in 2021 and the correct answer is C, 1 and 2. In this question there are three keywords: right to city, UN and UN Habitat. We need to learn about these three keywords in order to mark such questions or any other questions that may be framed from these topics in future. So you will be able to mark those questions right. Moving to the analysis part, we get to learn that question has been framed from Indian Polity. Topic is right to city and auxiliary topics are UN Habitat, UN. Regarding right to city, we get to learn that it is an agreed human right. What is it? It is a human right that was agreed upon at UN Habitat 3. It includes right to claim public spaces and public participation in the city and the right to housing and basic amenities. It is a common rather than individual right. It is a common right of community. It means the right of all inhabitants, present and future, permanent and temporary, to use, occupy and produce just, inclusive and sustainable cities defined as common good essential to a full and decent life. Regarding UN Habitat, we also need to learn some facts. It is an UN agency for what? For human settlement and sustainable urban development. It reports to UNGA, that is UN General Assembly. It is headquartered in Nairobi, which is in Kenya. It is a member of UN Development Group. Regarding Habitat 1, what was Habitat 1? It was first UN conference on habitat held in Vancouver, which is in Canada, in 1976. After this conference, UN Habitat was established in 1978. Habitat 2 was held in Istanbul in Turkey in 1996. At this conference, adoption of Habitat Agenda had happened. It had twin goals, which were right shelter for all and sustainable urbanization. Third was UN Habitat 3. It was held in Quito, which is in Ecuador, in 2016. Here adoption of new urban agenda took place. In this urban agenda, right to city was a right. Regarding UN, we need to learn that it is an intergovernmental organization set up in 1945, with the objective to promote international peace and cooperation, deliver humanitarian aid, protect human rights, etc. It is headquartered in New York, which is in USA. Moving to our next question, right to privacy is protected under which article of the Constitution of India? Our options are Article 15, 19, 21, 29. It is a simple and straightforward question. It is factual and you will be in a position to mark it right. Answer is Article 21. It was asked in 2021. And in this question, keywords are right to privacy. Regarding this, we have to study Article 21. In addition to this, we also need to study Article 15, 19 and 29. In order to gain holistic knowledge and mark answers right if any question is framed from these options in future exams. In analysis part, we get to learn that Article 21 is related to right to life and personal liberty. It is part of fundamental rights which are provided under Part 3 of Indian Constitution from Article 12 to 35. So Article 21 comes under fundamental right to freedom. Fundamental right to freedom is provided from Article number 19 to 22. These articles are related to freedom. In this Article 21 is related to right to life and personal liberty. It says that no person shall be deprived of life and personal liberty except according to procedure established by law. It includes a right to live with human dignity, decent environment, livelihood, privacy, shelter, health, free education, free legal aid, speedy trial, travel abroad, medical aid, fair trial, etc. These all rights are part of right to life and personal liberty. In Puttaswamy versus Union of India case 2017, Supreme Court held that right to privacy is intrinsic part of Article 21. Regarding Article 15, we get to learn that no discrimination based only on religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth can be taken, and it also provides some exceptions that state can make some provisions related to women and children, SC and ST, and economically weaker section regarding education and their welfare. Article 19 is related to freedom. It protects 6 rights of freedom, that is freedom of speech and expression, freedom of association, freedom of assembly, freedom of movement, freedom of residence, and freedom of profession. Article 29 is related to protection of interests of minorities. Which kind of minorities? Religious and linguistic. Their distinct language, script, and culture needs to be protected by the state. Moving to our next question. Under the Indian Constitution, concentration of wealth violates A. Right to equality, B. Directive principles of state policy, C. Right to freedom, D. Concept of welfare. Question was asked in 2021 and it is related to provision of concentration of wealth which violates, that is correct answer is B. Directive principles of state policy. We also need to study right to equality, right to freedom, and the concept of welfare in order to gain holistic knowledge. As we know, earlier questions are framed on directive principles, fundamental rights, and all. DPSP's directive principles of state policy, as we already know, are socio-economic rights that are mentioned in Part 4 of Indian Constitution from Article number 36 to 51. These are non-justiciable in nature and they are borrowed from Irish Constitution of 1937. Article 39 is an important article which we need to study here in context of this question. It mentions that state to secure workers and children's right. How? Then Article 39A mentions by providing adequate means of livelihood. Article 39B mentions equitable distribution of material resources. Article 39 mentions prevention of concentration of wealth or means of production. From here the question has been framed. Article 39D mentions equal pay for equal work for men and women. Article 39E, preservation of health and strength of workers. And finally, Article 39F prevents abuse of children. Moving to our next point, it is related to right to equality. Right to equality is covered from Article number 14 to 18 under fundamental rights, which are mentioned in Part 3 of Indian Constitution. Article 14 talks about equality before law and equal protection of law. Article 15 is related to no discrimination based only on religion, race, caste, sex, place of birth. Article 16 is associated with equality of opportunity. Article 17 prohibits untouchability, and Article 18 abolishes any sort of titles like Maharaja, Rao Sahab, Rai Sahab, etc. Then moving to right to freedom. Right to freedom is covered from Article 19 to 21, same under fundamental rights in Part 3. Article 19 is related to right to freedom. It protects 6 kinds of freedoms which we discussed earlier. Article 21 is related to protection against arbitrary and excessive punishment. Article 21 is related to right to life and personal liberty. This also we discussed in earlier question. Article 22 is related to protection against arrest and detention. Concept of welfare mentions that any federal or state government program that provides financial or other assistance for housing, food and healthcare to individuals and families who meet specific guidelines, such as having a low moderate income, is considered welfare state. The state which provides these things is called welfare state. Moving to our next question. What is the position of right to property in India? Our options are legal right available to citizens only, legal right available to any person, fundamental right available to citizens only, neither legal nor fundamental right. The question was asked in 2021. In this, the main keywords are right to property, legal rights, and fundamental rights. We need to learn about these 3 terms to mark such questions right. Our correct option is B. Legal right available to any person. In explanation part, we get to learn that right to property was a fundamental right earlier, but it was made a legal right under Article 300A in Part 12 of Indian Constitution. 44th Constitutional Amendment Act of 1978 repealed Article number 1 subclause 1F, which provided citizens' right to acquire, hold and dispose of property. It also repealed Article number 31, citizens' right against deprivation of his or her property except as per law. These 2 articles had been mentioned in fundamental rights earlier. They made right to property a fundamental rights, but these were repealed by 44th Amendment Act. It inserted Article 300A, which made it a legal right. It protects private property against only executive action and not legislative action. What does it mean? It means that Parliament by law can make any changes related to property. About legal right, we need to learn that these are the rights provided in laws of a country. For example, Prevention of Domestic Violence Act 2005 provides women with right to do what? Or right against domestic violence. Right? Then comes fundamental rights. As we all know, these are part of constitutional rights as they are mentioned in the Constitution. These are civil political rights provided in Part 3 of Indian Constitution from Article 12 to 35. Moving to our next and last question. A legislation which confers on the executive or administrative authority an unguided and uncontrolled discretionary power in the matter of application of law violates which one of the following articles of the Constitution of India? Question was asked in 2021. Our options are Article 14, Article 28, 32 and 44. The correct answer is Article 14. In this, we need to learn about Article 14, Article 28, Article 32 and Article 44. Regarding Article 14 provides equality before law, which is a British concept. According to this, no person is above the law and it is an element of rule of law. Next, it mentions equal protection of law. It is an American concept which provides that equality of treatment under equal circumstances. It also provides some exceptions also to president, governor against some criminal proceedings, to MPs and MLAs, and publication of true news in newspaper. Article 28 related to freedom of not attending religious instructions in certain educational institutions. Article 32 is related to right to constitutional remedies. It is an important article. Question have been framed earlier also from this article. Article 44 is related to uniform civil code for all citizens. That is all. Thank you very much.